Joe, what did the Heat do so well to take Kristaps out of the game at different times early on and obviously came back on late?
Just up to physicality, switching, higher pickup points. Just got to fight for spacing and fight for those two-on-ones in the screening. But, on many of the screens, they won the battle of the screens, and so we just got to fight to win those.
Joe, how would you evaluate the team's performance tonight and what stood out to you in terms of just the overall differences that allowed the Heat to have success?
Yeah, I mean, two completely different games from game one to game two based on the schemes, and so we have to adjust to that. More switching on their part, higher pickup points, got to fight for spacing, less obvious two-on-ones, and so, we got to get to our spacing quick and play out of that. And defensively, obviously, they made a conscious effort, the free reign to shoot more. And I thought, most of those were, moderately to heavily contested, and so we're going to have to make the adjustment on some of those.
Yeah, Joe, I was going to ask about the volume Miami was able to generate from there, and in turn, the way they were able to limit you guys from the three-point line. How did you see that develop as the game went on?
I mean, they're more switching, less doubling, higher pickup points, and then, obviously their adjustment to shoot more. And so, we're going to have to find the balance, because a lot of those guys that made shots tonight are also good drivers, especially getting downhill. And, so we're going to have to find that balance of making sure we close out appropriately. But, we don't want to start opening up the other side of that. So that'll be the adjustment.
Yeah, what was that balance? I know you just said you felt good about the contests you got on those. But
On most of them, yeah.
What was that balance between, like you said, the drives they were going to be able to get out of those and the amount of threes they were able to hit tonight?
Yeah, I mean that's the balance of hero out of bio pick and roll and being shifted off those guys and getting back out to them and closing out to them. So, but when you play a little bit inefficient offense from the standpoint of fighting for your space and getting there, that puts a ton of pressure on your defense, and that's the kind of team that takes advantage of inefficient offense because of their ability. To attack at that other end. So, we got to fight for the offensive execution.
Coach, was there an emphasis to get Jaylen Brown going? I know you got him in that play out of the timeout. Is it a matter, throughout that stretch, was that a matter of trying to get him going over and over, or is it just a matter of guys trying to explore the mismatch, find what's the best option, and just
I think some of that was just the best option through the mismatch, and I thought he went on a good run towards the end of the first and had some good plays in the third quarter. So, he picked and chose his spots well. He was pretty efficient on the offensive end. So, just got to be better as a team, offensively executing our spacing.
Joe, those KP post-ups, especially on switches, have been kind of the safety valve and the baseline for this offense. They were doing all sorts of stuff to deny on catches, really stripping them on catches, making them uncomfortable. What did you think they did really well that maybe a lot of other teams haven't had success with? And how do you feel like you guys, as an offense, should respond over the course of the game when you see that they're getting those deflections?
Yeah, I mean, they did a good job being physical, pushing catches higher, making it difficult for us to take advantage of those switches. And as you said, that's been something that has given us a different look on the offensive end. So I think when you're in situations like that, you have to fight for your spacing. On some of those we weren't spaced well. We didn't hold the seals well. So it's just a little bit of everything. You got to be better physically holding seals, make better passes, have better spacing. Just put ourselves in position to see the two-on-ones easier and have better execution.
Joe, they were 13 for 24 from three at halftime. We've talked this season about adjusting to when it's just an aberration, when it's just one of those nights. Did you feel like you adjusted in the second half? Because I think they made another 53% of their threes in the second half. And what could you have done differently? Because basically that was their whole strategy. Everybody knew it, that they were going to have to take a barrage of threes to keep up with you guys.
Yeah, well, so that to answer your question, that when things like that are happening, it puts more pressure on your offense. Your offense has to be more efficient. Your offense has to be more effective. And you have to look at the other side of the adjustment. And so the hero out of bio pick and roll is dangerous in itself, and you start going to switching, or you start inching out to those guys and not having shifts, and then you're making that a 2-on-2 game with their two best players. And so the first adjustment was to try to become more efficient on the offensive end. And, we were able to do that in some stretches. It was, like a 6 to 8 point game. And so it was a 2-3 possession game. So with the team shooting 55% from three and you shooting 37%, you getting more shots than them and getting outshot by 11 for it to be a 2-possession game for the majority of the fourth quarter, I think is, you're looking to just be more efficient on the offensive end. Once we got it down to like 8 to 10, then they went to the post-ups or the out-of-bounds shots, which, those are the shots you would be giving up if you went to the switching or if you went to that. So I think it just puts more pressure on your offense to be more efficient.
Why do you guys only take 32 threes as opposed to 43?
Because they switched and they didn't double as much, and they were a little bit later on their shift activity.
Is that something in Game 3 you're going to have to adjust to take more threes?
I mean, it depends. It depends on how they're playing on the offensive end. It depends on what the matchups are. But like I said, I know that's the thing. We've been built on taking what the defense gives us and being able to win in different ways. And so over the course of the season, winning the shot margin the way that we did from the free throw line and more offensive rebounds and less turnovers, like that's a recipe for, long-term success. So I think that's the balance of, finding where you can get better, but also not overreacting, because if you do that, it opens up more to what they're capable of. So, you have to fight for that balance.
What's your mindset going into Game 3, and do you think it's perhaps good for this group to face a little adversity here after this? And you mentioned the paths that different teams take to get to a championship. Yeah. Do you think it's good to face a little adversity here? Just your mindset.
I mean, to think you're going to go through a playoff series, however long it lasts, and have, it's unfortunate that losing a game is adversity. I would say it's just the nature of the playoffs is adverse itself. So. To think that you're not going to have ups and downs throughout a run, you're not being realistic. So you just have to go back and look at what we did well and where we didn't, and then figure out the areas that we can improve upon.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Jason, Jalen, here. Drew.